Even when I posted the video yesterday, I was posting it because I was saging and doing Palo Santo, and I was like, let's spread positive vibes. I didn't even really notice you all would talk about my ass.
Chloe Bailey initially made a name for herself as half of Chloe and Halle, a musical duo formed with her sister. The two gained fame by posting song covers to YouTube, showcasing their angelic, harmonic vocals. During their childhood, Chloe and Halle had small roles in shows and movies like Meet the Browns, Let It Shine, and Austin and Ally. The two were eventually discovered by the likes of Beyonce, who went on to sign them to her label, Parkwood Entertainment. Their soulful music, angelic vocals, and meaningful lyrics earned the sisters comparisons to legendary artists like Erykah Badu, Jill Scott, and their mentor, Beyonce. In 2016, Chloe and Halle released their first EP, Sugar Symphony. The sisters, dubbed Beyonce's protégés, impressed audiences and seasoned musicians alike with their musical and vocal arrangements. By 2018, they would release their debut album, The Kids Are Alright. The album was seen as a coming of age, navigating the transition into adulthood in a seemingly crumbling and superficial society. Despite it all, the album had a bright, self-assured tone. The Kids Are Alright earned Chloe and Halle 2 Grammy nominations, one for Best New Artist and the other for Best Urban Contemporary Album. Chloe and Halle seem to be the embodiments of authentic self-love. With their dreadlocks, minimal makeup, and age-appropriate clothing, the sisters seem more focused on promoting their music and letting it speak for itself. Their look was a welcome change of pace from the images society continued to press onto young black women. Chloe and Halle never seemed as if they were being anything that they weren't, and like they'd accepted that they were in a separate lane from more provocative contemporary artists. The sisters were praised for their otherworldly vocal ranges and refreshing sound. Their music was a unique blend of R&B, pop, and neo-soul, and had a more uplifting message than much of the pop music that was mainstream at the time. In 2020, Chloe and Halle released their second album, Ungodly Hour. The album was a masterpiece. The lead single, Forgive Me, had a futuristic R&B vibe that seemed straight out of a sci-fi movie. The transition between intro and Forgive Me is haunting and seamless, and immediately lets listeners know that they're in for a sonic treat. The sisters served ungodly vocals with songs like Overwhelmed, Wonder What She Thinks of Me, and Don't Make It Harder on Me. The album covers topics from realizing one's self-worth, overcoming loneliness, to infidelity. Still, songs like Ride of Your Life gave us the optimistic, encouraging messaging Chloe and Halle had become known for. The songs were experimental, yet reminiscent of songs from the golden age of R&B, with some rock elements thrown in. The album is a musical trifecta of good lyrics, great production, and even better vocals. Critics were also extremely impressed with Ungodly Hour. Pitchfork rated it a 7.7 out of 10, and Rolling Stone called the sisters a musical force in their review of the album. What makes Ungodly Hour so great is that it covers the highs and lows of being a young woman navigating self-discovery, but it comes from a confident, empowered place rather than one of insecurity or self-doubt. The album comes from the perspective of someone who's healed rather than someone who needs healing. The sisters gracefully gathered the men and fake friends who mistreated them, warning them to get right or get left because they did not have time for the foolishness. Somehow, Chloe and Halle take us to church, the club, the future, and back to the 90s all in one album, and it's still cohesive. The girls were in their early 20s, and though some songs on the album had more adult topics like cheating and drinking, the album still never came off as vulgar. I think this is exemplified perfectly by the cover art for Ungodly Hour. Though Chloe and Halle are wearing short black latex dresses, it's contrasted by the two of them wearing angel wings and holding each other in a loving embrace. The live performances from this album were from another planet. Though the girls couldn't perform in front of live audiences, they kept us fed with performances that they live streamed from their tennis court, and they included stylish outfits, excellent lighting, and fun visuals. The summer of 2020 was hard for a lot of people for a lot of reasons, and Chloe and Halle, as per usual, were doing their part in lifting their fans' spirits with the carefree black girl vibes they gave in each performance. Though I could go on and on forever about how Ungodly Hour is one of the best albums of the 2020s so far, this video is supposed to just be about Chloe Bailey. However, the Ungodly Hour is so important to focus on because this is when Chloe and Halle started to diverge. Over their career, they'd morphed sort of into one brand rather than separate people, so much so that many didn't know which sister was Chloe and which was Halle. Though the sisters are very close and love to make music together, they've always remained adamant, and rightfully so, that they're two different, independent people. And upon closer inspection, it really is evident how despite some of their similarities, Chloe and Halle really are different. Chloe is the older of the two sisters and has a deeper voice than Halle. Her stage presence is more in your face than Halle's, which isn't a criticism, but just an acknowledgement that the two sisters have slightly different performing styles. When Chloe gets on the stage, she's gonna give us attitude and facials. During the Ungodly Hour era, it began to seem like Chloe had more sex appeal than Halle. Chloe was 22 at the time, aka a grown woman, so this wasn't really a problem. Halle's stage persona was different, appearing to be the more demure and reserved of the two. She was perceived as the cuter, nicer sister because of her bubbly, gentle personality, as well as her higher, lighter vocal range. Halle had also been cast as Disney Princess Ariel in the live-action Little Mermaid, further associating her with a more wholesome image. Another glaring difference between the sisters is their body types. Halle has a slender frame, while Chloe has a more voluptuous body type. Though this has absolutely nothing to do with their singing, it has contributed significantly to the different perceptions of the two sisters. It's hard to find any performance of Chloe Bailey from the past couple years where her body isn't mentioned, even when her body or her dancing isn't the focus of the performance. Even when they performed together, it was mainly only Chloe's body that was talked about. Her body type is one that's historically been more sexualized and fetishized, especially on Black women. This meant that nearly any outfit Chloe wore or any move she made would be seen as inherently more provocative, whether or not that was her goal. It did seem that Chloe was beginning to intentionally lean into a more sensual persona around late 2020, early 21. Fans noticed that her dancing was a bit more seductive than it had been before, and they were quick to comment on it. People began to say that Chloe was outperforming Halle, citing her more emotional, dominant stage persona. Again, I don't see this as Chloe being better than Halle or having a better stage presence, but more so just a difference in performing styles. Chloe's more forceful stage presence was punctuated by more sensual choreography. It still fit the tone of the song she was performing, and it never seemed fake or over the top. In fact, many fans liken her performing style to Beyoncé, another artist who's been able to toe the line between sexy confidence and vulgarity. Chloe was called seductive, self-assured, and powerful. At the time, the consensus was that she, like her mentor, had mastered the artist's sensuality while remaining classy. Chloe rang in 2021 by announcing her arrival on TikTok. She did the Bust It challenge, transforming from a robe to a black two-piece dress with a slit and twerked to the song. The majority of the comments were supportive of Chloe and complimentary of her looks and body. Most of her fans had expected her to take this more provocative route, as she teased it a little bit during the Ungodly Hour era. The majority of the other TikToks she posted at this time were similar in nature, showing her dancing in an outfit that showed off her hips, her butt, or her cleavage. Chloe Bailey seemed to have a more daring, risque vibe than Chloe and Halle. The two had recently created separate Instagram accounts in an effort to further be seen as individuals. Chloe's Instagram content was similar to that of her TikTok. Her comment section was full of her fans, mostly other Black women, uplifting her for her creativity, beauty, and confidence. Chloe also uploaded videos of herself producing music, showing she had a desire to create music not just with Halle, but independently also. It seemed for a little while this more sultry side of Chloe Bailey was well received. However, the support wouldn't last forever. Chloe faced her first wave of criticism in early 2021. Instagram users complained that Chloe's content was too sexual and that she seemed more concerned with promoting her body than her music. Some even claimed that she was turning into a sexual object. Chloe took to Instagram Live to say she never predicted the criticism and it hadn't been her intention to appear provocative, but that she was simply confident in her body. Chloe urged other women to stay true to themselves despite criticism from others. She also pointed out that she dressed in revealing clothing in her most recent performances and hadn't received near the same amount of criticism. During the live, Chloe was moved to tears.
It's so important and so special when a Black woman can be strong and stand in her power in every single way. You know, I do it musically, with my songwriting, with my producing. I feel so badass. And I get the same feeling when I dance in my room, when I just own who I am and my body. And for so long, I used to think I was like fat, and like I used to hate my stretch marks and my cellulite. I'm not gonna cry. But it's like now I really love who I am.
Many were unsympathetic, claiming yes, it was okay to be sexy, but she was taking things too far. Halle also took to social media to defend her sister. The criticism only increased after Chloe began endeavors as a solo artist. While Halle began working on The Little Mermaid, Chloe continued making music, taking their hiatus as an opportunity to build a name for herself as a solo act. In the summer of 2021, Chloe covered Nina Simone's Feeling Good. Impressively, she'd produced and engineered her rendition of the song herself. Her version was included on Liberated, Songs from the Movement, a collaboration of music and spoken word from various Black artists like Cordae, Common, and Yara Shahidi. Originally, Feeling Good is an anthem of self-love and optimism in the face of hatred and oppression. The song was released during the Civil Rights Movement and represented a bright moment clouded by some of the darkest moments of American history. Vocally, it's a perfect cover with Chloe's insane lower register on display. The powerful, soulful tone of her voice is perfect for the song. Chloe performed Feeling Good for a televised event celebrating Juneteenth. It's important to point out that only the quote-unquote respectable Black artists are ever asked to perform at these sort of Black liberation-focused events. The fact that Chloe was asked to perform and that the cover was part of Songs for the Movement is evidence of Chloe's initial perception as a respectable Black artist. She was seen as in touch with her roots, evidenced by her dreadlocks, soul and R&B sound, and her co-sign from Beyoncé, one of the leaders of pro-Black music at the time. Typically, this image of respectability is usually one that's palatable in that it reads as pro-Black, but without any of the harsh stereotypes of Blackness, such as appearing violent or hypersexual. Chloe's performance involved a lot of gyrating and twerking, and many felt it was disrespectful to the original meaning of the song. The performance was referred to as sexually charged and seemed to reference a different sort of feeling good. Though Chloe's vocals were insane and immaculate in every compliment possible, the performance set Black Twitter on fire, many believing it was inappropriate. Nina Simone's granddaughter tweeted in defense of Chloe saying, "Everyone's coming at Chloe Bailey for her performance of my grandmother Nina Simone's song Feeling Good, but what y'all don't understand is that grandma was a free-spirited woman herself. She would have loved that performance as much as I do. Relax, Chloe killed it." Just because her actual singing here is so insane, I just want to say again that the criticism was in how Chloe danced during the performance. She performed the song again a few days later on Good Morning America, and since this performance was free of any controversial choreography, Chloe didn't receive any backlash from it. Around this time is when the conversation came up about whether or not Chloe Bailey was staying true to herself. In the eyes of some, this new persona of hers seemed too forced, and it was often called cringy. Others claimed Chloe had sold her soul or that she'd been forced by her label to be a near clone of Beyoncé. For many, it just raised the question of how sexy was too sexy. Wherever the line was drawn between seductive and vulgar, Chloe had apparently crossed that line, a punishable offense in the eyes of the internet. Many of the same people who were living for Chloe's sex appeal during her Ungodly Hour performances were the same people tearing her down for it now. Chloe's debut single, Have Mercy, was released in September 2021. The song was different from anything she'd released as part of Chloe and Halle. The song mostly had a hip-hop influence and was an ode to how desirable her body was, something she hadn't sung about before. Chloe danced in a more risque way, exposing her butt to the camera in many of her dance moves. She finished her VMAs performance by licking her microphone in a suggestive manner. Beyoncé's influence was present in the production, costuming, and choreography, and people who didn't understand the definition of mentorship accused Chloe Bailey of copying. Other fans didn't necessarily find an issue with the song being reminiscent of Beyoncé, but that it seemed that Chloe was too talented to release a song like Have Mercy. The song seemed too simple and generic for someone with Chloe's vocal ability. It's here that we see again the classic misconception that embracing one's sexuality is only for the untalented or for women who don't respect themselves. People often have the idea that if someone, especially a woman, is truly talented, then she need not be overtly sexy or show off her body too much. So Chloe singing about having a big booty definitely put a target on her back as far as the internet was concerned. In addition, just because Chloe is a vocally gifted artist, that doesn't mean that every song she sings, she has to hit every single note in her range. She's allowed to make fun pop music just like everyone else. Other artists known for their vocal talents like Beyoncé, Gaga, and Ariana Grande have all released pop songs that could be considered easy to sing. But sometimes songs can just be for fun. Not every song has to showcase an artist's vocal prowess. Chloe responded to the backlash in an Instagram Q&A. She said she was showing off her body because she was proud of it and wanted to glorify the female body in the way that many male artists have been praised for doing. Chloe said men can glorify ass in their videos, and I want to do it with this in a really artful, fun, beautiful way. Nonetheless, the performance proves Chloe to be an entertainer of a high caliber. She powered through the choreography with energy and ease. The performance earned her comparisons to Beyoncé in the best ways possible, and many fans praised her performance on Twitter. Allegedly copying Beyoncé seemed to serve Chloe well, as she'd apparently copied her stamina and stage presence too. Despite its criticisms, Have Mercy was generally well received. The song debuted at 28 on the Billboard Hot 100, and it was a hit on social media apps like TikTok. Social media too is where Chloe faced most of her hatred and criticism. Her posts were becoming more provocative by the minute, and Have Mercy dashed all of Chloe's claims that she wasn't intentionally sexualizing herself. In November, Chloe's followers were especially aghast when she posted a video of herself sucking on a lollipop in her finest lingerie while talking to her fans. They took to Twitter to share their thoughts, the consensus being that the post was cringy. While some begged her to delete the post, others said Chloe was simply trying to explore being a young adult and deserved to be left alone. Chloe did eventually decide to delete the post. She said it wasn't because of the criticism, but because she didn't want people to find such content on her page, especially while she was still navigating how best to represent herself. It was just over a month later that Chloe was raked over the internet coals yet again for another song cover. In January, she posted an Instagram video of herself singing Minnie Riperton's 1970 hit, Loving You. The song was originally a touching song for Riperton's daughter, now comedian Maya Rudolph. Yet again, Chloe's rendition took on a sexual tone, sounding more like a song one would sing to a lover rather than a child. While it is common for artists to change the meaning of the songs in their covers, it was yet again another instance of Chloe Bailey being what people felt was needlessly sexy. The cover was called cringy and extra in the comments. Chloe responded by saying she found the criticism to be a compliment since her singing certainly couldn't be criticized, and encouraged her fans to live in their truth. In April, Chloe released her next single, Treat Me. The Beyoncé influence is undeniable, but the production of the song still sounds unique. Chloe again asserts her confidence and independence, and as she's told us numerous times before, showing off her body is the way that she expresses that confidence. Chloe Bailey loves herself and her body, and she doesn't care if we love it too, as she shouldn't. Chloe wrote Treat Me in the midst of a breakup and wanted it to be a strong, sexy woman empowerment song. There are no men present in the music video, and it was directed by a woman. The song is upbeat and catchy, and it samples Bubba Sparxx's Miss New Booty. Sampling the song shows Chloe's yet again reclaiming the narrative of black women's bodies in music and glorifying them with the same fervor that they've been objectified for decades. There's actually a lyric in Miss New Booty that says, "And you ain't gotta sell sex, girl, it sells itself." This is fitting because truthfully, Chloe would have and has been sexualized for her appearance regardless of what she's singing about. Even during the Ungodly Hour era, when Chloe's image wasn't overtly sexual, it was her fans that commented about her body and her sex appeal long before Chloe ever did. Now that Chloe has chosen to represent her adulthood with a more provocative image, the public has perpetuated this idea by giving her more attention than ever and claiming that her actions have made her more sex object than artist. By now, it's evident that a lot of Chloe's fans and haters alike have a problem with her new image. But why? One of the biggest reasons was because it wasn't how Chloe branded herself at the beginning of her career. While contemporary artists like Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion are expected to be risque and show skin, Chloe's shamed for it. While all women are criticized for wearing revealing clothing, other artists aren't called fake for it like Chloe is. It's important to remember that the Megans, Nickis, and Cardis of the world were adults when they became famous, so they could market themselves as sexy from the very beginning. However, Chloe was a child when her career began, so it was likely that her image would mature as she did. This same change is seen in other artists once they reach adulthood. For example, Ariana Grande commemorated crossing over into more risky adult territory in 2016 with Dangerous Woman. The song was a complete turn from her innocent, bubbly image, emphasized by the latex outfit and bunny mask she wore during that era. As Ariana grew into an adult, her stage outfits and subject matter matured to reflect that. Another reason Chloe was called fake was because her behavior seemed forced. If this is who she truly was, why did it always seem so awkward on social media? It's completely possible that maybe Chloe is still learning how to embrace this side of herself, something that she herself has said. Just because something isn't natural at first doesn't necessarily mean it's inauthentic. As to why Chloe would post videos like this at all, awkward or not, I feel like the same could be asked of other women who post similar provocative content. Or maybe the question doesn't need to be asked at all because these are adult women who can post whatever they want. Many fans found fault with Chloe's behavior because they felt that she was selling out. Chloe had been introduced alongside her sister as an alternative to the explicit and vapid content that many other young artists were putting out. Though her previous 2 albums were critically acclaimed, neither of them had gone number 1. Chloe and Halle's most successful summer was during 2020, but still that success had been halted by the fact that they couldn't perform in front of live audiences, nor could they tour. Apart from music, Chloe and Halle were well known from Grownish and modeling for Ivy Park. Still, they hadn't seen the meteoric rise artists like Lizzo, Sweetie, Meg, or Doja had seen around the same time. This could be attributed to 2 main reasons. The first, of course, was that these other artists created music with a more mainstream sound and subject matter. A lot of young people want to hear music that has a provocative message that they can so-called throw ass to. In addition, these women, who again were all adults, promoted themselves with a more mature image, wearing revealing outfits and doing suggestive choreography. This typically fares better with audiences, reinforcing the idea that sex sells. Artists, especially women, are encouraged to be as risque as possible, as desirability is often a large part of their success. Musicians like Cardi B have expressed frustration with the public only seeming interested in their music when it's provocative. Cardi said she would love to make more meaningful songs, but when she released songs like Be Careful that were about something other than sex, her fans didn't really support them.
Sometimes people are in a different mood for different songs. Is that unfortunately, it seems like when females don't talk about their pussy or don't talk about, sex appeal shit, it seems like nobody gives a fuck. So it's like, what is bitches gonna do? Talk about the same shit. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at what he's saying. I just feel like he need to understand, like what's going on. And I have to tell him, about these dope ass motherfucking rappers that could rap their ass off. Like, them bitches will give me a fucking run for my money. They will give me a run for my money. And it's just like me. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I wanna pop my pussy and be a hoe, and sometimes I wanna protest outside the White House. And you know what I'm saying? It just depends. You can be mad at people for wanting to hear different shit.
This puts many artists in a situation where they can make the music that they want and risk it not doing well, or make the type of songs that they know fans will listen to, which are usually about more superficial topics. Many of the same people saying that Chloe was doing too much or seeking attention were the same people who had completely ignored her music before. I remember when Ungodly Hour came out, and barely anybody was talking about the album. Most of the people who were keeping up with Chloe and Halle during 2020 were already fans. I don't remember seeing a lot of people posting about the album like they were with Savage or Say So or other songs from that era. While all musicians deserve to present themselves how they choose, society has shown time and again that mainstream success is usually tied to how easily an artist can be objectified. Being a black woman, Chloe Bailey is in the position where her body is continuously objectified, more so than that of an average woman. Black women are often viewed as inherently sexual beings, despite that being a stereotype that was put upon them. Chloe Bailey is blamed for being too sexy simply for existing, but then she's blamed just as harshly when she reclaims conversations about her body and willingly presents herself how she's already being perceived. It's not possible to talk about Chloe Bailey's treatment without talking about misogynoir. Misogynoir, a term coined by Moya Bailey, no relation to Chloe, addresses the intersection of racism and misogyny that black women face. For centuries, black women have been seen as hypersexual, making it the most marketable image for them. However, this same assumed sexuality is also used to invalidate and disrespect black women. History has taught us that a black woman's sexuality is only okay as long as black women themselves don't own or control that sexuality. And God forbid black women do seem the slightest bit comfortable with their sexuality, because then the feelings of a few are used to push the idea that all black women should be seen this way. Society often doesn't want black women to be comfortable, happy, and empowered, and sex and sexuality are often tied directly to power. Maybe the conversation shouldn't be on whether Chloe Bailey is too sexy, because what does that even mean anyway? But about whether we've ever given Chloe a fighting chance to successfully be seen as anything else. The internet has also pitted Chloe against her own sister, villainizing Chloe for being the more sexual of the two, and claiming Halle is the better sister simply because her image is still more modest. According to the internet, Halle Bailey is the Madonna and Chloe Bailey the whore. Yet again, the way women, especially black women, portray themselves has been used to make judgments on both their morality and their credibility as artists. The criticism of Chloe perpetuates the problem that our respect for a woman is often directly related to how she presents herself. If anything, the discussions around Chloe Bailey prove society still fails to make room for women to be multifaceted artists. Saying Chloe Bailey is too talented to behave the way that she is isn't a compliment. It just implies the fact that being sexy is only for the untalented, and that embracing one's sexuality isn't respectable. Saying Chloe's music is bad if she's not giving us the gates of heaven every time she sings just perpetuates the idea that everything a black woman does has to be top tier and life-altering. Chloe has the right to present herself however she chooses. She's allowed to grow, change, and evolve, and if that means a shift in her image, then so be it. Instead of focusing on what Chloe's doing, focus should be placed on deconstructing the small box that we put many black women artists in. Chloe really doesn't need our advice, especially when she didn't get a lot of our support to begin with. If you like this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you want to see from me next. I think a Lil Nas X video is long overdue, so be on the lookout for that. And as always, I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye-bye.